Letting that sunshine come in was really a breaking point for me where I could start putting my life back together. The value of feeling safe and having peace and feeling security, oh my gosh, it's just incredible. My name's Andrea Seidel. My connection with addiction is I was in a relationship that I didn't realize I was dealing with addiction actually. I was in a really loving relationship, and slowly but surely, my loved one basically got sucked into the world of addiction, and he moved into active addiction. And so my experience was just one of like love, so much love, and like 9 years of like I would say like 7 years of amazingness and just the love of my life. And then I started really noticing this downward spiral, and I didn't know what I was dealing with. I thought it was maybe something mental health, or I didn't know what I was dealing with until things came to light, and I discovered and I found out that we were dealing with addiction. And it's so sad. It was like mourning the loss of someone who's still alive, and he just went down a really dark place, and it was heartbreaking to watch. And so that's really how it was under my radar. I never thought that I was dealing with addiction, and I never thought that I couldn't believe that this was going on. I was in a marriage and I did get divorced, and so I had my two amazing children from that marriage. And then my addicted loved one, this relationship, he came into our lives when my kids were They were really, really little, and he was amazing, incredible with my children. He took them in like they are his own. And I just like, oh my gosh, like that's what any mother would want, is to have, an amazing role model. He was fun, playful. He just embraced my kids, and I loved this man. And then it slowly started, like some things, like over the years, things started getting questionable, and just like his behavior changing, and then me not feeling as comfortable or safe in the relationship because of behaviors. And it just was going down this really dark place. I thought I was dealing with, a chronic sinus infection, or I remember going and buying like supplements and trying to make him better because he was struggling, and I didn't know what we were dealing with. And it was like always walking on eggshells, or is it his blood sugar levels? Like, what's going on with this, like with him? It's like the person that I fell in love with is like, it's like I was searching for him. Are you in there still? Like he kept his behavior slowly started changing, and it did impact. And I started protecting my children. Actually, I wouldn't let them drive with him. I started kind of removing them and doing my own thing with the kids. He stopped coming, to the cottage. He stopped coming on vacations, and so that's when I really knew, because we were tight. We had so much fun together. We would do holidays together, like. So I knew something was happening, and I just needed to protect my children. So he had a hidden addiction until he just couldn't hide it anymore. His active addiction became all consuming. He would spend hours at night. He'd disappear for weekends. And sometimes I would not even know where he's gonna go, or he'll say, I'm gonna go help such and such, with their car, or he'd say, I'm gonna go get diesel, and then he'd disappear for like days. And so it was so concerning, because it wasn't like his typical behavior. So he completely slowly but surely. And then I always say it's almost like you're in a storm that you can't get out of. And that's what I felt like, as I was like trying to figure things out, and just it was so challenging. So I think what I knew in my heart in the beginning, that yeah, maybe he had an issue with alcohol. He would drink a lot, and there would be so many empties, and I kind of just washed it underneath, because I loved this man so much. And you party on the weekend, you're at the cottage, you're hanging out, and like one beer turns to 12 or 24. Anyway, so I just sort of dismissed it, because let's face it, like alcohol, a lot of people, it's a social thing, right, to drink alcohol. So that was more of a red flag. I noticed I didn't know what I was dealing with, like I said. And then what happened was I found out that he had and was doing cocaine. And he would stay up all night, and he would be like, I'd come out in the garage, and then he'd be drinking beer at like 6 a.m, or I'd be looking at my clock on the ceiling, and I look over, he's still not in bed. It'd be like 5 a.m. I'm like, what? this is so bizarre. This behavior is so weird. Like, why is he out in the garage? Like, I'm like perfectly, great girlfriend that, like, why wouldn't you come in and be with me, and why are you wanting to be in, like, it was so bizarre. And so then his behavior just slowly started getting worse, and I don't know the extent of all the other things he did, but I did find out that he was doing a lot of cocaine, and I found out from some of his close friends, which confirmed my suspicions. My hairdresser actually ironically said, Andrea, do you think maybe he's doing cocaine, because everything you're describing seems like cocaine addiction. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I remember going back to my car and Googling everything to find out about, like, what is someone act like when they're on cocaine, and it was literally like the curtains opened. I was like, holy cow, like, this is what he's doing. And it was just so devastating, but it was like enlightening, where I finally could get answers. It explained the chronic nose clogging and sinus infections, the blood on his pillows. Like, it explained his ups and downs of behavior. It finally explained, like, okay, now we know why you sleep for days, and now we know why you stay up all night and go on these binges, and it explains so much, but it didn't make it easy for me. It didn't make it any easier, because suddenly now I'm like, holy cow, so now I know what I'm dealing with. It's like, what do I do? When you love someone with an addiction, you love them so much, and you only want the best for them, and you are willing to do anything to help them, like any loving, caring, kind person would. So you read up on them and you get slapped with these terms, you're enabling, or because I paid for his truck payments, for example, or I'd excuse out why he's not coming to family functions. But really, I was just showing up, and when you love someone with an addiction, you're showing up in a way that any caring, kind, loving human would. Whether that is coined enabling or codependent, but what would happen is, and what keeps you there, and I had a friend who was like, Andrea, why do you stay? Are you kidding? It's like, well, you don't understand, because a lot of the times they come back and you get those little glimmers of the persons that you fell in love with. You can actually for a second see that person that you love. And then you get what we have is hope. We hope that they are going to either seek recovery, or they're going to get back to what we had before. And you get enough of that. I used to get love letters. I used to suddenly, when I'd see his truck pull in the driveway, I would have such a relief. I realized now I had trauma bonding. And so when he did come back, I'd be that relief. And then we would start from scratch, and then we would move to a place that feels really great again. And then only to have him go back into a binge and disappear, and then have temper tantrums or things like that. So it is like ping pong. It's like being on that roller coaster, and it's so hard. It's just so hard. When you love someone with an addiction, you stay because you care so much about this person, but yet you're so knocked down because you're trying your best. You're trying to figure it all out. You're trying to figure out, like, what's wrong with them? How can I help? How can I make them better? How can I encourage them? How can I not enable? You're asking all these questions, and you're just doing your best. You're trying to keep your head above water. And it's so sad, because you're literally watching someone you love. And I used to think that, can I love hard enough? Can I love this person hard enough that he's gonna choose me instead of alcohol or instead of cocaine? And I realize now that's not what it's about. His brain was completely rewired. His reward circuitry was completely messed up. I really had to do a lot of healing and learning and discovery that, Andrea, I'd say to myself, you cannot do anything to save this man, and you need to save yourself. You need to save yourself. So for my children, I turned into Mama Bear. So the second I actually knew what I was dealing with, there was separation. I did not want my children around him. And I was always doing, and I have my background's in psychology, so I called it damage control. So I wanted my kids to know enough that that kept them in the loop so that they knew what I was doing, why I was protecting them. But I also wanted them to understand why there's emotional outbreaks, why there's like these ups and downs in personality, and that why it's like that Jekyll and Hyde, like we never know who we're gonna get. I protected my kids' well-being, and I helped them with a lot of psychological flexibility in that I was open with them. It's interesting though, it took one time after I knew what I was dealing with. I was walking with my son, and he was older by this point, right? And my son's super wise, and he said to me, "Mom, you have put up with so much. And it hurts me to see how much that he is upsetting you and our family. He has not been himself for the past 2 years, and you have put up with so much, Mom. Why do you stay?" He spray painted all the garage windows black. So all our garage windows were spray painted black. And I remember going out there after he'd taken all his stuff, and it was like this metaphor for me. I was out there with like razor blades, and I'm sitting there and I'm scratching off all this black spray paint. And I remember thinking, part of me, like this is the ridiculousness of what I was having all around me. And so I'm scraping off this black spray paint, and then I realized the sun started coming in. And I remember thinking, this is the metaphor for my life. The shadows of addiction now, even though, I love this man, I probably would have stayed a lot longer. He was out of my life. And then now that was like, it was messy. I had stuff all over me, but healing is messy. And letting that sunshine come in was really a breaking point for me, where I could start putting my life back together. So whether you're still in a relationship with someone who's struggling with addictive behaviors, or you've exited the relationship and you're now building yourself back up, it doesn't happen overnight. I always say addiction is like a storm. Your nervous system is constantly on overdrive. And so one of the things that really helped me was constantly needing to down-regulate my nervous system. So yoga, my breath work, talking to my friends, getting out in nature, going for hikes, walking my dogs, and taking my kids with me, doing things like that. My son said to me, "Mom, I will never touch cocaine because I saw what it did. I saw the damage, and I will not ever drink that much in excess." Like, he's 22, so he still sometimes will go out and party and drink, but I feel like there was such a learning lesson in all of this. And Felicia too, my daughter, she's so sweet, and she goes, "Mom, you know what? All of this, like your divorce, whenever I hear someone complaining about the smallest little problems, I kind of laugh inside because I know how much I've gone through, and look how strong I am." I was finding that there wasn't anything really to support people in true recovery. Like, recovery has a stigma about it. So I created this book, Recover Without Rock Bottom, because why are we waiting for rock bottom? Maybe this could have helped my addictive loved one, because he's like an in-betweener and maybe didn't identify with having a problem big enough to seek treatment. So that's what that book is about. And so I created the community as well, Ready for Recovery, which is Ready for Recovery magazine. And we have amazing contributors and just people who are really redefining what true recovery is. I think the number one message I have for someone in the muck of loving someone with an addiction or struggling in some way in relation to that would be that you're not alone. There are so many people that are going through this, and this is so hard. That's my other message. This is so hard, and you're doing everything perfectly. There's no right or wrong way to navigate all this. It's really hard. It's really sad. It's devastating. And so the main message is that you're not alone, and that there are so many people out there that can support you, and also to focus on you. So put that oxygen mask on yourself, take your power back, make yourself strong. Self-care, not just bubble baths and facials. Like, we're talking real self-care, like going to yoga, drinking your water, getting your sleep, eating really healthy. Love yourself and give yourself that encouragement that you would a best friend. Know that you are not alone, that there's community, and just having the courage to focus on you.